Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, where the topic is using OnePlan to implement scaled Agile framework portfolio management. My name is Doug Welsby, and I'm also joined by my colleague, Jose Levy. During today's webinar, attendees will be on mute and the line will not be open for questions. However, feel free to use the GoToWebinar question feature to submit questions. I will address these during the webinar and will respond via email if we do not get to your specific question. If for some reason you get distracted or pulled away from the webinar, no need to worry, as I'll be emailing a link to the presentation once it has been posted to our YouTube channel. I'll now turn the presentation over to Jose.
Thank you, Doug, and thanks everyone for joining. Today we're going to be addressing how OnePlan helps to implement SAFe 5.0 Lean Portfolio Management. We've covered the topic previously, but we're going to be going directly into the capabilities and really the rationale for doing this. Last week we talked about shifting left for business agility, and that was a more broader topic. This one is OnePlan specifically for SAFe in that scaled Agile framework. So let's get started. So we've used this diagram previously to show how organizations can shift left in order to drive business agility. And I last week showed how you are really moving from adaptive project management all the way to the left to Agile portfolio management. The reason for doing that is to accelerate the delivery of customer value. So you're going to be going through this Agile transformation where you're changing the organization and the way that it delivers its value to customers through Agile planning, and then scaling that all the way to an Agile portfolio. In terms of understanding where you're at and really understanding what this means, at the very right, you see that there is no Agile scaling. And what that means is that you're going to have projects and Agile epics basically viewed together. And there is really no way of defining Agile plans in your planning hierarchy, and no way of really driving them to portfolios. They might be part of a portfolio, but they're managed separately. You're not really looking at the entire set of plans aligned to strategy collectively. In the middle, you're now beginning to incorporate some of the Agile scaling into your planning. So you're thinking more about Agile programs. You are looking for ways to drive velocity and how you deliver value. You might still have waterfall projects, but they're all incorporated into that one portfolio that is looked at from the Agile perspective. On the right, you are doing primarily, Scale Agile or other framework that allows you to look at all those plans and manage from the Agile perspective exclusively. You might still have some waterfall plans, but you're really looking at the world through the Agile prism. How that really converts to a planning hierarchy, and I make a emphasis on it because it really centralizes the organization and how it's going to really plan portfolios, plan funding, allocate resources. So you can see on the very right, and these are actual screenshots from the OnePlan solutions, and how you can transition between the very right, where I said you have no scaling. So we're looking at projects or epics at the same level. They don't really belong to any particular grouping. I mean, you might group them by business unit just to see, who's doing the most projects and how funding is occurring at that level. The next step, you can see that now we have this concept of portfolio program. You have project and epics at the same level, and you're trying to, see the outcomes at a program level and how they're tied to a portfolio. You're beginning to, move in the direction of having some Agile scaling. In the middle is really where most organizations sit today, where you have a variety of different methods that are actually being deployed to execute and deliver projects. At the very top is the safe planning hierarchy. So we have a portfolio of value stream epics. You can see I go all the way down to user stories. Might be different in your organization, by the way. It could be PBIs if you're using Azure DevOps. So I'm just referencing directly the safe planning hierarchy. In the middle, I have a traditional waterfall hierarchy. I have programs, I have projects. I might have sub-projects if they're larger projects, and I have deliverables and milestones. I'm not going to show tasks within my planning hierarchy. I will do that within the project plan itself. And the program actually belongs to portfolio. Then I have initiatives. So this is traditional Scrum, and I'm trying to incorporate it because, again, I have different planning methods, so I have to bring them all together in this adaptive model. And again, this is all directly within OnePlan, which would allow you to do that, and we'll talk about that in a second. If we transition more to the right, now we're getting to the point where we're talking about value streams and epics and portfolios. So this is lean portfolio management. However, you can see that I still have some projects in there. So it might be that you have some waterfall projects that you have to incorporate, infrastructure, parts of the organization that really either don't see the need to change and transition. That's perfectly fine. You can incorporate them within your Agile portfolio management. In the end, what will occur, though, if you are going to transform completely, is that everything will be incorporated within an Agile portfolio management hierarchy. So if you are in that situation, technology companies, software-driven organizations that deliver value only through software delivery might be more inclined to be in, a full Agile model. So you can see the difference here. There is no project. Everything is going to be done in terms of epics, features, and stories, rolling up to development value streams and portfolios. So thought I'd, kind of take the theory and take it one step lower so you can see how that actually will reflect in your planning hierarchy. So Scale Agile Framework 5.0, we are talking today about how we can use OnePlan to drive implementation of the portfolio configuration. And you can see that we have it highlighted at the top. This is the portfolio configuration. The portfolio configuration also includes essential. And I want to make that point because even though I'm highlighting this box, this is not the only set of part of the framework that we're going to implement. It's not just about, well, let's do some strategic themes, define our portfolio vision, do a portfolio backlog, and start defining epics. If you cannot take that down to the teams that are actually delivering the work, then you're really pretty much nowhere. You're just doing good planning in a lean portfolio management way without actually getting to the outcomes, which is, are your customers happier? Are they getting greater value? This is the big picture. There's a lot here. So we'll try to deconstruct this step by step because the framework again has evolved over time and it does provide a lot for an organization. Specifically within the portfolio configuration, the portfolio really means the management of development value streams. So we are looking at software development or a derivative of an operational value stream, which I don't want to get into today. We've covered the topic in other webinars, but the development value is in support through solutions of that operational value stream. And then the portfolio is dedicated to developing and supporting the solutions. So you're always trying to help the business in that operational value stream through the development value stream and its solutions. And the portfolio can represent a specific area of the business. Really, we're talking about, aligning the definition of epics that are going to contribute value using specific tools and techniques in terms of how we define them, how we define the value they contribute, and the lean budgets and methods for, budgeting, assigning to the portfolio value streams. You can see that we have epics and enablers, and there's KPIs which really are defined by our epic hypothesis statements and what we expect to get, from executing the epic. In large enterprises, you're going to have multiple portfolios, and in smaller enterprises, you might just have, one value stream per portfolio, which is supporting that solution. So your scale really also, determines how you will deploy safe lean portfolio management. Just some reminders here of why are we doing this. Is really the lean agile approach tries to overcome, the traditional project portfolio management inhibitors of value. And I don't want to go through every one of these, but they're all really pretty much focused around enabling flow at the portfolio level, focusing again on those value streams, aligning to strategy, making sure that we have that value stream and then the corresponding agile release streams, the arts that are getting us to our objectives and key results. We're going to use different techniques with lean portfolio management, a lean business case with an MVP, and rather than a detailed, long, traditional business case with ROI, we want to focus on leading indicators rather than lagging indicators in order to determine the value that we're receiving from delivering the epic. And then we're decentralizing decision making. So we, just like the SAFE framework showed, we're going to go into essentials, the essential SAFE, by enabling a program approach to incorporate our teams together with those epics. And we'll get that in the next couple of minutes also. So we're going to talk about technology and the technology solution, how OnePlan helps, but I think it's important to note that to start, you actually need to address processes in your organization and people. This is in the end the change management initiative. So there are a number of assessments, and in fact, there's a business agility assessment, but there's one specifically for lean portfolio management in order to start that conversation. And together with our head of delivery, Richard Evans, we were in a session yesterday, and he made a very good point, which is, it really all starts with a business strategy conversation, and getting your leadership in the room and explaining to them, the value of moving in this direction and how you can accelerate business agility by going this direction. We at Wickersoft have a business strategy workshop for Agile portfolio management. So we encourage you to begin that conversation. You need to plan this thoroughly and understand how long it's going to take. We dealt with that in the webinar last week, where we said, the average implementation roadmap takes anywhere between 3 to 4 years. Doesn't mean you can't begin to see benefits within the first year, but it is a long-term journey. And again, it begins with that strategy conversation and to define how you're going to get it done. The bringing together lean portfolio management, the 3 areas are strategy and investment funding, Agile portfolio operations, and this is really important because you have to convert your existing PMO into an Agile program office and a lean center of excellence, and also put in place lean governance, which is different than the traditional project portfolio management. So that's why we say that bringing all this together and making it happen, and then tying it to program management, which we'll get to in a second, requires to have that conversation and that planning exercise. So how does OnePlan support lean portfolio management? Well, OnePlan was purpose-built for portfolio management. First of all, the team, the product team that built it, and the implementation experts, the consultants and technical teams that are part of our organization have been doing this for more than 20 years. So portfolio management is our focus, and we have been doing it for a long time for leading organizations. So the solution that you're going to see today is really our Agile portfolio management solution that enables safe lean portfolio management and the shifting left of your organization towards business agility. OnePlan actually has 3 solutions. So if you go to our website, you'll see that we have our strategic portfolio management solution. We are going to be showing Agile portfolio management, which is the one that is addresses Agile at scale and SAFE specifically. I showed initially how you can be doing adaptive portfolio management, and we have that solution also available, that specific configuration for that process. And I'll just in passing mention that we have professional service automation, which is, one of our core solutions for organizations that are, seeking to drive portfolio management through better engagement management through professional services. I also want to state that at this point, OnePlan Agile Portfolio Management is really the only solution within the Microsoft clouds delivered by a leading portfolio management partner for Microsoft. So Microsoft is the 2019 Partner of the Year for PPM. This year we were also a finalist, so we are within the top 3 partners in the entire world for this competency. And among all the other partners, with and for Agile Portfolio Management, we have purposely created a solution, for the Microsoft Cloud, so we can incorporate, all the other components that you might be currently leveraging, in addition to other external solutions, which I'll highlight in a second. But if you're a Microsoft shop and you're using Teams and you're heavily invested with the Microsoft technology, OnePlan for Agile Portfolio Management is the best way to scale your aspirations to Agile and drive that business agility. So I encourage you to consider if you're in that position. The integration is a key component to all of this, to scaling Agile. The teams are working in existing solutions, and it's likely they will continue to do that. So to that end, OnePlan built since the beginning integration platform called OneConnect. So OneConnect basically has a number of out-of-the-box connectors that, depending again on your workload and the API that's available, will allow that data and really transformation also if needed to integrate all of that into the OnePlan for Agile Portfolio Management. So we list here just some of the connectors that are available. However, if you happen to have an application, we have generic connectors also that are then tailored to integrate with OnePlan directly. So it's important because it is a broad technology landscape that has to be brought into the picture for delivering that scale agile solution. So let's get into Agile Portfolio Management. So there's 2 key components I want to highlight, and I'll show in the demonstration. The first is everything starts with the strategic vision of the organization as defined by leadership. And so we have strategic themes of the portfolio vision, and we have the capability within OnePlan, and I'll show its components really from our strategic portfolio management solution that have been integrated into the Agile Portfolio Management solution. And really it's the ability to take those strategic themes, which are reflected in objectives and key results, not only give you the ability to articulate them, but also to align them and then track the key result components to see whether you're reaching those objectives that have been defined. So that's one aspect within the framework that we support directly. The second is, the lean definition of the portfolio's value streams and the epics within the lean portfolios, and then enabling the perspective of program planning that incorporates not only the epics that have been defined, but also the work that is being done by the teams. So that's really the essence of the solution. So what we want to enable is not only the definition of the portfolio and its epic components, but also how they are being delivered through the decomposition of features and stories that are being done in the team planning tools. So that's the other big part of the solution. And just from an operational standpoint, I found this graph and I thought it was helpful because we can define epics how we want within a portfolio backlog. This is what we want to deliver, the greater value that we want to deliver to our customers that is going to allow us to achieve strategy. And yes, there's a Kanban and a backlog that gets defined, but how does that actually get down to execution? And that's where the program backlog comes into play, and the team backlog, because eventually it has to be reflected in terms of features and stories and tasks that are going to be executed. So not only does that have to go down within the hierarchy, but it also has to come up to tell us exactly how we have whether we have completed the epic. And that's really the important part of why you need to have tooling. You could be just defining even epics at the team backlog level within a solution. However, how are you going to know? First of all, the teams are probably dealing with multiple features from Epic, so it's going to be really hard for a leadership team to understand exactly how epics are tied to those OKRs and whether we're actually meeting the portfolio um, objectives, the portfolio vision, by just tracking features at the team level. So that's another reason why you need to focus on agile portfolio tooling. From a practical standpoint, aligning to all the areas of the organization that are actually executing also comes into play. So here I'm showing how epics need to connect to that program Kanban, that need to connect to the team Kanban. So you have different levels of the organization that are going to be executing on that delivery of value, and the need to have tooling that supports your planning hierarchy. So how does this come into play? Well, we are looking at here the portfolio backlog and portfolio Kanban, and if you want to start actually doing OnePlan for Agile portfolio management, this would be the way to go about doing that. This is fairly straightforward in terms of defining epics that are aligned to strategic themes. They're going to have a budget. You're going to put them through the process states of your portfolio Kanban. Each of them are going to have a portfolio epic prioritization using WSGIF. Here's the standard way of how you would calculate the value of the epic WSGIF, and you're going to do prioritization on that basis. Simple enough. The teams, on the other hand, are the ones that are actually executing that, and the teams are executing at a much lower level. They're doing user stories that are rolling up into features, and planning through iterations, which are in other words, for sprints, which are 2 to 3 weeks, depending on your organization how you might do them. But again, we're at a much lower level. This is a much higher level. So what we need to do is really find a way to bring it all together, and that's really where the program in SAFE plays, where you can actually have all the teams collaborate to the program. The program is where we're going to be delivering features and stories that are then delivering the epics that we define. And so, the program structure, a very important part within a component of SAFE. So just want to highlight so that you can see how that all comes together, and how we need to actually have our Agile portfolio management solution address all of those different capabilities that you see here. It's a little busy, but it's really intended to show that you really have to have all the components together in order to get to that business agility through lean portfolio management. Well, it seems like I lost my screen. 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay, so in order to do that, we are going to, we have the Agile portfolio management within OnePlan, and I just want to walk through the modules before I go to the demonstration so everybody sees, everybody understands what I'm about to show. Again, we're defining a portfolio that's going to be aligned to strategy, but also connected to delivery from our teams and the team planning tools. So we have OnePlan portfolio is really the primary module within the solution, where you have lists, boards, dashboards, and roadmaps, and you can build your planning hierarchy within it, and from there navigate to as a specific user persona to any part of the tool. Every one of the items within that planning hierarchy, and again, this is depends on your specific requirement, can have a financial plan, which is OnePlan financial, or a resource plan, which is OnePlan resource. So in that way, by the way, you could have portfolio budgets defined at a very, very specific level. You could have portfolio resources defined at a very, very specific level, and you could break those down into the value streams and the epics that are going to be defined as part of your lean portfolio management. On the bottom side, you can see that we have the agile plans that are coming in from your planning tools. And again, I mentioned OneConnect. So we will use that to bring in your epics and feature stories from Azure DevOps or Jira or Rally, really any tool that you're currently using, as well as any waterfall plans that you might be developing using Microsoft Project for the web planner. It doesn't really matter, the tool. We primarily support Project and Project Desktop, but we can bring in really any level of data into WorkPlan. There is a strong status reporting feature also, as well as, which is not shown here, the reports in Power BI, which I will highlight. So from a very rudimentary chart to show exactly what's going on, and I thought I'd just bring it in because it's one of the first questions that we ask once we define the planning hierarchy. How are we actually going to make this happen? And so here, just for simplicity's sake, we have our OKRs, which are going to be defined in OnePlan, our portfolios, which are going to be defined in OnePlan, and then you can see Epic. So epics can be defined in OnePlan as well as defined in our team planning tool, Azure DevOps or Jira. So we do OneConnect is bi-directional, so you can have those created in either way. Your process will define how you do this. It's really important that we cover that when we actually do an implementation, because you want to make sure that you maintain data integrity and that everybody understands that governance in terms of who will have the ability to define that epic, where is the epic going to be defined. There's metadata also that's going to go back and forth between the systems. So on the left, we have Azure DevOps Jira, on the right, OnePlan. So we could be defining and updating data within the epics in OnePlan is going to go to Azure DevOps or Jira, to your team planning tool. In terms of the rest of the hierarchy, it's likely that they are going to be created within your team planning tools and then integrated into OnePlan. So we here, just for this example, have feature stories and tasks, and they are created in your team planning tool and then integrated directly into OnePlan for viewing. So this, by the way, is just one example. You could have information go back and forth between any of the levels, but just from a process standpoint, this is one way of very simply visualizing how the Agile portfolio tooling is going to allow you to plan top down and then bring it together with your team planning tool data. Also highlight there's two levels of integration. One is what we call OnePlan portfolio, where your hierarchy is placed, and the second is OnePlan work plan, which is really where the tasks, project plan, if you will, the Agile plan in a board is being shown. So that's also important to know, because you have to define at what level you're going to be taking data to the work plan. It could be, in most cases, the task level. So if we had a project plan, by the way, it could be that the epic is actually at the same level as a project, and then we have the project structure and the task and work plan also, because OnePlan allows you to actually publish directly from Microsoft Project. So that's another consideration if you're going to be bringing in waterfall plans, waterfall projects. Where are they going to fit within the planning hierarchy? In this case, it's exclusively Agile. Okay, so let's jump to our demonstration. Okay, so I am right now within Teams, and I'm showing one of our Agile solutions directly within Teams, and that's really the current preferred mode of deployment for customers. It doesn't have to be, by the way. You see there that I have a tab here that just have the OnePlan solution on its own. So if you wanted to actually access this outside of Teams, you can do that. But in most cases, organizations are currently deploying within teams in order to get, that greater collaboration within the solution. You can see that if you're a Teams user, Teams has the ability for you to put these tabs that actually incorporate, an entire set of applications that you might be using. So your process could actually begin, and I just want to highlight that OnePlan does support your ability to begin with ideation. So it's a common requirement organizations to manage ideation. In this case, we're simply using SharePoint Online to drive the creation of those ideas, and then the promotion of those ideas to OnePlan. So, and again, it's just within this within this configuration, because there's multiple ways of actually achieving this requirement. But just to highlight the capability, we have the form that allows you to capture your lean business case, or really, the first set of data points that you would need on an epic within your funnel stage. These are all going to go to funnel. Within your funnel process state, really, there's no limitation in terms of how many you can have. We do want to manage the aging, though, to make sure that we don't have items there that have been sitting and not attended. The capability is really to convert them to a program or an epic. It could be to a feature too, and there's ways of doing this within OnePlan also. But if you wanted to just have an idea hopper or within SharePoint, that is available, and you can see that we've placed it directly within OnePlan. I'm going to close here just so that you can see that here we can just put their immediate states before we move it to OnePlan directly. I will go here to Portfolio. So we are within OnePlan Portfolio, and you can see that we have the main capabilities of list, board, roadmap, and dashboard. Dashboard will take us directly to Power BI. We have some controls within our list views. In fact, every one of the view areas has controls. And in the very beginning of the presentation, I showed that the planning hierarchy can reflect exactly what you want to show. So in this case, and it's just for effect, by the way, because we have the ability to limit the view of the hierarchy for a specific area. In this case, we're just showing the lean portfolio management hierarchy directly within OnePlan Portfolio. In this case, I'm a little bit towards the adaptive, because I have projects shown here. I have another solution that I'll show in a second that doesn't have project inserted there, but what that means is that I am actually managing waterfall projects, and I'm inserting them at the same level of the epic. It doesn't have to be that way. I just wanted to mention we have the flexibility to accommodate, wherever you think that waterfall project needs to be. So, in this case, it's at the same level as an epic. I show portfolio, and in every one of the hierarchy areas has what's called a plan detail. And this is really important because in this case, we're actually showing the portfolio canvas. So part of SAFE is really having a number of different artifacts to reflect all the levels within the SAFE framework. So in this case, we have the portfolio canvas, and you can see that we can define the value proposition, anything that you want to define as metadata for the canvas is shown here. Any key inputs. So again, this is straight out of the framework, and we can have what I call associated items. So within the hierarchy, what is Cloud and Mobile First related to? So in this case, it's related to the Fabricam value stream, and the Fabricam value stream will go there in a second. But that actually also has, and we can actually go from here directly, has its own canvas. So at this case, this is the development value stream canvas. So I'll highlight that because the hierarchy is not just planning elements and plan types. It actually allows you to define metadata. It allows you to define a specific process. It allows you to define a specific planning element. So in this case, I have details and financials at the value stream level. So I could be actually putting together, what is my portfolio funding for this Fabricam value stream. All of these can be driven by workflow also, if you want to. In this case, they're simply, stating the state of the value stream. But we can see here that we have the development value stream canvas. What are the solution trains that are actually comprised? What are the arts that are comprising? And then what are the epics? So now we're getting to the epics. So within the value stream that we're supporting, our arts are defined, and what are the epics that we have been created. So here's where we get into literally the lean portfolio management, the essence of lean portfolio management, defining epics by value stream that we will then be able to prioritize. Before I move away, I want to go to financials just so you see that our financial planner is fairly sophisticated in terms of what it provides. And again, I'm at the value stream level. I even haven't gotten to the epic level. So if you're interested in getting to this level of detail when you're doing portfolio planning, you can do so. And you can see that at the value stream level, we're defining for Fabricam budget, forecast, actual. You can actually go further if you need to, comparisons, date ranges, depending on what time frame you're looking at. Typically we're looking at program increment in quarters, so you can actually summarize that as needed. We have fiscal periods also needed, and you can do comparisons depending on what you want to show. All the subsidiary information, it could be rolling up from all of the epics and the epic states and the epic budgets. So here, we're showing a way to reflect that. So I'll get back to, I'll continue drilling down here, and then I'll go back to OnePlan portfolio so you can see how we can do prioritization. So support customer user mobile is one of the epics that we like to point out here. We now have the lean business case for the epic. So we've gone from portfolio to the value stream to the epic that has been defined. Again, another plan detail page that allows me to capture as much or as little as I want for that specific item. In this case, we do have to take the epic through its process state of funnel in the Kanban review, where you are starting to develop your epic hypothesis statement, the metrics behind it. The lean business case gets completed in analyzing before I take it to backlog implementing and done. You can change these, by the way. We are simply reflecting the process states of the lean portfolio Kanban. You can see here that we have all of the relevant metadata of where the epic is being done, what is it supporting, who is the Agile release train that's actually delivering this. The teams will be within the art, so you actually have the ability to define the art itself and its status. So you can actually come in and actually define the status of the epic. That could be through calculated fields, formula-based fields, or it can be manual, as you can see here. Whoever the epic owner is can come in and actually define the status of the epic. In terms of the lean business case, again, as narrow or as broad as you want it. Here you can see, we put some narrative information just to show a sample. In terms of prioritization, the calculation of WSJF is done here. So, if the cost of delay is lower or higher, then our corresponding value is going to change for the WSJF. And this will be used, so my values change and the values are going to be used then to do prioritization later. So the primary criteria for doing prioritization is WSJF. Doesn't have to be, by the way. We could use other criteria. We just want to make sure that we focus on leading indicators rather than lagging indicators. Schedule and start has more to do when the epic is going to begin based on when the features are going to get into the program, and you can have those dates updated based on that. In terms of epic budget, you can see that we have a financial plan here. So you could get into defining those directly within financials. I'll show that in a second. And then this is really exciting because we can actually see, okay, what makes up my epic? So my epic is made up of features, and the features, by the way, some might be actually backlog items that haven't been considered. So, but here, these are features that are actually active, and you can see some are proposed, and we can see where we're going to be when they are going to be delivered. and the WSJF value based on the calculation that I showed below, and what are the teams. So these are the features that are part of this specific epic. So I could keep drilling down, but I'm going to stop here so that we can go back up to portfolio, and also highlight that at the epic, and this is really where it's most important if we want to actually roll up to the value stream and portfolio, is we have financials, just like I showed earlier, and I could be looking at them, as I said, and in terms of a quarter, just so that we match our program planning, program increment planning, and similar capability in terms of showing different cost types and cost categories. I mean, if you wanted to do this, we're showing teams here, by the way, you can see that are coming directly from the resource plan. But if you wanted to just to focus on high-level estimates, you could. This is a very valuable capability at the epic level. So resource plans, and this is something that's fairly commonly requested, in which you're actually dedicating the team for the quarter to the specific epic. From a top-down planning standpoint, you can actually see the capacity for individual team members and what is actually causing that over allocation. So part of implementing lean portfolio management and SAFe is actually to be able to avoid over allocations by having dedicated teams and understanding what our capacity is. So this is one tool that would allow you to do that better than just using Jira or Azure DevOps on its own. In WorkPlan, you have the ability to bring in the task. If you saw the initial the slides that I started with, and so here we're looking at the backlog for support customer using mobile. We're actually using, in this case, Azure DevOps. So we've connected Azure DevOps, and we're bringing in that item directly from Azure DevOps and all of its tasks. So you can see that the actual features in this case are being brought in, and tasks you can configure this specifically to show work. So in this case, we're bringing in the epic. The epic has feature and task, and you can see here everything that belongs to it. And if I actually wanted to, within WorkPlan, we have a board. So not that, this is not a replacement in any way for Azure DevOps or Jira or Rally or any of the other tools. But if you did want to use it, if a team actually did want to go down to the level and use the board for planning, you could do this. So it's an active board. So if you wanted to actually start planning features at the epic level for the teams, you could do that. So I just want to highlight that it is a capability the tool has. Although in most cases where, if you recall my earlier diagram, feature stories and tasks are going to be done directly within the team planning tools. You can actually generate status reports that are submitted and snapshotted over time. So another nice capability that the tool has, you can submit it to a reviewer, and any of the data that's within my details page can be placed within this. This can also be exported, as you can see, to different formats. So it's a very easy way of providing stakeholders with a business owner, program owner, RTE, the status of an epic and its impact on the program. And there's also, in addition to that, reports within Power BI. So I'll just click in directly through it, so you can see that there are. This is also a very common requested capability in terms of having a report, one-pager report for the epic. So here's the epic one-pager. And it's basically drawing all the data from OnePlan. You can see that the content pack can actually have additional reporting on that epic, but in this case, this is one that's mostly requested. So I've taken you through elements of the hierarchy, and in this case, we focused on cloud and mobile first as a portfolio. The value stream was Fabricam. My Epic was support customer using mobile, and the features were listed, which are coming from my team planning tool. You can see here that the source system is also shown, and also the fact that I might have a Microsoft team that's actually delivering that Epic. So I can create a specific teams for that Epic. In this case, again, because the hierarchy had projects, you can see that I have a project for the web, which is Microsoft's new project experience, as well as a desktop project from Project Professional. So again, if you were in the adaptive mode, you can incorporate within the planning hierarchy projects. We go to we will go now to lean portfolio prioritization. So if you've gone through and defined your epics as they're coming in and on a quarterly basis, most likely you could be doing it on a monthly basis, but most likely on a quarterly basis for PI planning, you will be determining, which shift and then which ones need to be perhaps moved up in priority in order for get them to execution. You can see that their state is shown here, and OnePlan is a modern reactive app, which means that we can change states directly in here as we're doing the analysis. Some interesting additional features. Some of the questions like, but when are we actually going to deliver the epic? So you can actually get to that here by understanding, what the intended delivery date of the epic is. This is, in conjunction with what's going on in the program with its features and stories. But, one quick way of understanding, the timelines is by turning on the Gantt here. And you can see that we can also turn on our prioritization feature, which would then allow us to understand within that WSJIF and any other criteria that we want to use, whether we should be moving epics within the priority. So I believe here we have our large team channel sizing with this NFR. We're actually going to move that up just to make sure that we give that the right level of importance and give it more attention in terms of our prioritization and make sure that it makes it into our lean portfolio Kanban. So we're going to move next to that because that's really where, from a lean portfolio management standpoint, we're going to be defining the process state of those. So I will go here and go to so this is our board capability. I have a board defined specifically for lean portfolio management, and you can see that I have my process states defined. I do have some counters also in terms of WIP limits, which is really important within lean portfolio management. The columns are reflecting those process states for the lean portfolio Kanban. I have value streams showing here as my lanes. In fact, there's nothing within consumer banking, so I'll go ahead and collapse that. You can see that I have data showing within the cards themselves, which I can also define. The color is the status, but it could be changed to any specific indicator that you want. One common change is, can we actually talk about the epic budget? And by process state, are we exceeding the epic budget? And you could actually go in and define limits or constraints within it in order to make sure that you're meeting them. So I'll go ahead and within funnel, it's not that big of a problem because we can have as much as we want within review. I'm just going to go at any particular time just for effect here. I'll go within these first two. So we're way below in our review, which means that we could be taking epics and moving them to the next stage if we have completed exit criteria. You can see that in almost in every case we're doing well. We could also look here at the backlog and items that need to be actually brought into our my lean portfolio Kanban. From this view, I can also look at other analysis criteria. So in terms of priority, if I placed priority values within my epics, I am showing epics here, but just for effect also, I'm going to include projects so you can see that you can include more than one plan type within my board. I think most important here are the dependencies. If in this case, epics or projects have dependencies, can you actually define them within the board? And just for effect also, I'm going to zoom to medium so we can see everything that's being done. And by the way, we can also open and see the backlog. We can go into any of the specific cards that represent an epic, look at its where we are. This is the proposed epic that's still brought in, and we could say, that's about to go in. I can still keep it within funnel, but I'm going to move it into medium because that's what where it should be in terms of priority. So I can do that also. And then I can go and that can throw a notification, and someone can come in and then begin doing analysis on it based on that priority. So that's for we could look at within lean portfolio management the epic Kanban, and this really shows me again where I am at. In this case, I'm looking at the value stream status, the count, epic. I think this is a slightly. Let me go ahead and show medium so you can see where we are, and the dependencies in this case are clear between all of the different epics. So I'm going to move to the next level. So the next level would be PI planning. So here we have our 4 program increments, and I could be looking at features. I'm going to look at features in this case. And I don't think there's another view for that. So apologies for that. Let me go board by PI. Because this is really where it comes together, and this is a capability that you need to have for lean portfolio management. So we have broken down our epics into features. Our features are going to be broken down into stories further, and we need to actually define the commitment of those features to the program increments. And the program is, a large endeavor. It involves a number of different agile release trains that make up the value stream. It could be one or multiple teams. So, what this is meant to do is to facilitate a dialogue between all of those different team members that make up that art to define exactly where are we going to deliver those features and stories. So in this case, I could go directly into it. This one is active. It's actually status red. Why is it red? And are there any specific stories that are at risk of not being delivered during the sprints of the program increment? So I can do that directly here, and I can also look at my backlog and define if something is actually ready to be moved into a specific increment. So this one I could go and say, you know what, we're going to do this one within PI number 2. We usually only look at the current PI, and PI roadmap is really 2 future PI, so I can close my PI 4 and just focus on, current execution and my future PIs. So this is at the program level. Now within our list, we also have our PI summary, which is very valuable, because what you're trying to do is, again, once you've defined those epics and you've broken them down to the features within our team planning tools, how are we going to commit those teams to deliver, and what is the value that's going to be delivered? So this is a nice, easy way of sequencing and understanding how we're going to deliver our features within the program increment. So I will close by, again, going to our reporting, just because that's another critical benefit from using OnePlan. So OnePlan leverages Power BI and the Power Platform. Power Platform, meaning Power Automate for workflows. If you're interested in having the solution within Power Apps, that is also available. But the reporting is key. It's something that drives consolidating all the information from your team planning tool and bringing it together within OnePlan and driving that lean portfolio management. It can start, and really what we're trying to drive is lean metrics and understanding what the velocity is. When we've done our WSJF calculation, you can see here that we can get to understanding exactly what is the budget and the value that we are going to be delivering for a specific epic, and then make decisions from there in terms of our prioritization. You can see that we are here focusing actually on our operational value streams and what business units are actually contributing or being impacted by the strategic themes. So you can do that also. I will go and move into strategy. Again, the prioritization scores that we have used that you could be using, and also combined with WSJF, give you an idea of where you are, what every one of those epics is. Summary roll-ups are critical. And within our strategic portfolio management solution, there's even more capability for tying this together to OKRs. But in this case, from a financial standpoint, you can actually put a value on your strategic themes and your level of investment into every one of them. You can see that below we have the content pack actually shows a variety of reports. Just for time's sake, I'm not going to get into every one of them. I recommend that we make contact if you want to go deeper into one of these, any of these, or any part of the solution, so that we can actually address your specific requirement for lean portfolio management. So thank you very much for attending today's webinar. We hope you took some valuable insights in terms of how OnePlan can enable lean portfolio management and your scale agile transformation journey by doing lean portfolio management together with whatever team planning agile tools you're currently using and bringing it into one solution. If you have an interest, please make contact so that we can enable a trial and support your use of the solution. We are available to doing deep dives and addressing any specific requirement that you might have on lean portfolio management. So thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you on our next webinar.